what is going on? All these lights and technology. Look at this. Look at, I'm so beautiful. This is finally what I need to do. This plus Facetune, I could actually be attractive. This would be amazing.
Sweet.
Christy, hello, welcome. We are doing a recording live on live event. So we are gonna be doing a podcast with Christie Bailey right here for Everforward Radio. She's actually doing a Facebook Live event right now on her Fitpreneurs. I'm gonna mess up the title. What's it?
You did mess it up. It's called Find Your Fearless. It's basically a business mentoring group for anyone who doesn't know what the fuck they're doing and they're trying to start an online coaching business. So
yeah, and I don't know if you know me, but I think I know what I'm doing sometimes, but I always need validation and other input. So I'm gonna put the phone down and we're gonna do an IG live streaming of this podcast. You can also go check out Christie's Facebook page or just wait for this episode to come out. So let's set this guy down right here. We're somewhere. You can either get me, Christy. That should do. All right, I'll try to stay in the middle here.
okay. Wait, should I put it live on mine? Why not? Literally, we have 3 different lives going on right now.
We're actually gonna break her apartment building's router.
We're gonna break the Wi-Fi. That's the goal.
We're gonna break the internet, people.
Okay. Cool.
This is actually ridiculous. 2 laptops,
I know, this is like
2
Inception. All right. So, oh, my pop filter. That's what we were gonna do.
Oh yeah.
Sorry. All right.
So we're gonna keep everything going live here, and what we're gonna do is run through about the first half of this. It's just gonna be normal podcast interview. But please, if you want, go ahead and leave a question down below here or over on her Facebook group. We're gonna try to do a second half kind of Q&A. So I propose we're just gonna do a Q&A for her. Christy's like, let's do it for both of us. So
yeah.
If you're intrigued at all by anything that I do, maybe why I'm so weird, why I wake up so early all the time, why I think pooping is one of the most important things people can do in their day-to-day.
I would agree with that.
Regularity is very important, very important. All right, so enjoy the stream. Leave us a question if you want, anything about me, anything about Christy, her male counterpart, basically, Mr. Brian DaCosta, the other 2017 bodybuilding spokesmodel search. This is the girl version, all right? So I interviewed Brian a couple months ago. Yeah, actually, we'll call Brian the girl version of you. That's better. Yeah. All right, so enjoy the podcast. Leave a question if you want, and we'll get to them on the second half, okay?
Oh, my mom joined. Hey, Mom.
Hey, Mom. Hi. Mama B.
Yeah. All right. Actually, fun fact, that's not my real last name. That's my middle name. But I chose not to use my last name because when I started my whole fitness journey, I was in my corporate job, and I didn't want my coworkers to see me in a bikini. Oh, hi, sweet one. Hi, Mom. And so I didn't want them to Google my last name and see that. So I just was like, all right, this is gonna be like my stage name. And I started competing with that name. And
literally a stage name, yeah.
But it's cool because it actually has given me, like, I don't know, my own life outside of the fitness social media world. So I feel like I still have that for me. You
get to be Christie Bailey, and then when you want to be not Christie Bailey,
then I'm
you can still do that. Exactly.
Yeah, and also like I don't want creeps to find me.
This is true.
So
well, the internet is the internet. Creeps will find you no matter what.
Yeah. Anyway.
I go by my real name anyway, so you don't really need to go by your real name. It's so last generation. You're fine.
So overrated.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we're gonna do a podcast. I think.
So we're recording. I'm hoping this is good. The screen is telling me that we got some sound coming in.
Perfect.
So I'm gonna go ahead and apologize in advance for anyone who listens to this on the podcast version later. The audio is off in any way. I'm new, okay? So just bear with me here. But Christy, welcome to Everforward Radio.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming on. Christy and I actually live right down the road from each other. It's weird. I don't know which video to look at. I'm just going to talk to you, and we'll go from there. But I actually came across Christy about a year and a half ago. We crossed paths over at District Barbell. We happen to know some of the same people who opened up their own gym in the area, and I have a couple different angles I want to go from your origin story as far as getting started and just finding fitness and finding what you wanted to eventually go down, professionally, and then going to the professional route of the bodybuilding.com search, and then going into corporate America after kind of getting your feet wet and Fitspo, and then getting into your own thing right now. So I think you've got like 4
There's a lot.
stories.
My story is long.
Overachiever over here.
I am though. I am. Anyone that knows me, my mom on the live stream right now will tell you that, right, Mom?
So anything she doesn't tell us, Mom, you go ahead and fill us in later, okay?
She's loving this. She actually said to me the other day, do you think your life would have been the same if you had never read The 4-Hour Workweek by Tim Ferriss? So the 4-Hour Workweek, the concept is that you get to design your life, and you get to decide, what kind of business you will run, like an online business that is location independent. You could be anywhere. And I just had this vision, and I read it in college, where I could be on the beach in Bali and I could still be working and earning money, and that was my dream, but I didn't know really how to make that happen. So this is actually around the same time that I found fitness.
Yeah.
I was going through kind of rough times. My parents were just starting to think about getting divorced, and I was not taking it well. And I just wasn't really comfortable in my body either. And somehow my dad came across Mike Matthews from Legion.
Nice. Yeah.
And before Legion even existed, he had a book. He still has these books called Thinner, Leaner, Stronger and Bigger, Leaner, Stronger. I read the female version, which is TLS. And that book changed my whole world, because all of a sudden I realized, all the cardio and all the dumb shit I was doing didn't make sense, and there was actually a science behind it, and he explained it in a relatable way. So I picked that up and decided to run with it. Right after that, I moved to Germany because I had a boyfriend who lived there at the time, and I was literally implementing all of this as I was living in a different country with my fitness pal, like scanning all the German things, and it was so much fun. Like, I just remember fitness being like so exciting to me, and macros being so exciting. So
you had a shift and you got excited about fitness. So you went from one methodology to another. What did you come from, and what did you
I came from the cardio bunny, like don't know what the hell I'm doing / don't go to the gym.
So just on a treadmill doing cardio.
So just barely. Like I was never like athletic. I never did anything competitive in high school. I was very average, I like to say. And I guess the first thing I did that was unaverage was I decided to go to school in Switzerland for college.
That. Very cool.
And so that's really where I started learning and implementing all this fitness stuff. Saw competing on Instagram when I was over there. Obviously couldn't do it while I was there. Came home because it was hard as hell to find a job in Europe, although I wanted to stay. And I moved back home with my parents. My dad got me an interview with a Fortune 50 technology company, and I basically entered a sales program that they had where we just learned corporate sales for a year, and I got paid a lot of money to do that. And I thought, this is gonna be like perfect. Like, this is the dream job that everybody wants.
This is what I'm supposed to do, right?
That's what society tells you to do. And my dad is Chinese, and he definitely wants his daughter to have like the nice job and apartment and salary and 401k and all that, and I'm a daddy's girl and I didn't want to let him down. So
welcome to Northern Virginia.
Government
Every
jobs.
Parent ever.
So that's what I did, and during that time I was still in the fitness world. Right before I joined that corporate job, actually, I went through a really difficult time where someone really close to me in my family attempted to commit suicide, and I basically was so torn up inside because I was trying to live for that person and make them better, but I realized I had to do something for myself in order to take care of that person. So I found competing, and I was like, I don't know what the hell this is gonna bring, but let's do it. And that was the reason I first competed, and it was amazing for me because I found that care for myself again. And I also crushed it. I won the entire show and the overall and stuff, so that was cool.
Yeah, is that your first show?
That was my first show.
First show, first place.
First place in
overall, right?
Open, novice, and overall for the whole show. God, so that was pretty sweet.
That's wild, yeah. That's amazing. What was that process like? So you went from being a cardio bunny to finding your own form of fitness, and then going the complete other extreme and competing. So how did you really start in this new methodology, and was it alone? Were you working with a coach? How did you get to the stage, basically?
Well, I was my own coach.
Yeah.
So in Thinner, Leaner, Stronger, which Mike wrote, if you're listening to this, hi Mike. He actually lives here in Vienna.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, I know who I'm reaching out to next.
Yeah.
Duly noted. All right.
So he suggested in the back of the book, when it came to the exercises he lined out, if you don't know how to do them, go to the bodybuilding.com website and look at their exercise database.
I can see where this is going.
Yeah, you know where it's going. So when I was in that gym in Germany and I was like not knowing what the hell I was doing, I would go to the locker room and I would look up like on my phone all of the bodybuilding.com exercises, and then I would go out onto the floor where all like the German buff dudes were, and I would do them. I would emulate them. And so I never had a coach per se when I started. I was self-taught.
So you're literally mocking, like you're watching, observing, and then implementing the best way you see fit.
Yeah, that's how I learned how to lift.
Wow. So you're like, so for anyone who goes to the gym, you're like, we see all these creepy guys like staring at other people. Christie was the creepy girl staring at everybody.
I was not creepy. I was like, don't look at me.
So she's like, sir, can you come back and can you do that slower, please? I need to draw the exact angle you're doing.
Well, I started they had a women's section in that gym that I started at. So I started there, and the men's section with all the weights and all the buff German dudes was on the top floor. So eventually I was like making my way up there as I felt more comfortable. It took me months to get to that comfort point. And then, it was just that I am a very goal-driven, ambitious person. I'm never really satisfied. So I wanted a new goal, and competing really for me initially was just a way to help myself get through one of the hardest times in my life.
It gave you something to latch onto and like pull you through this new path.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So you started off on your own, and then you found bodybuilding.com, and then bodybuilding.com kind of found you. So walk us through, like I mentioned before, we've had Brian DaCosta on, the male contestant here from the area. He did really, really well in the process. And then you also kind of joined him on that. So what was it like going through this journey with someone locally, and then, from never really competing before and just finding fitness to stepping out on stage and performing and then going on to a professional level?
Yeah, there's a lot of parts to that process.
Let's start with the beginning. So why? Why did you find that going through this particular journey of the bodybuilding.com spokesmodel search, why was that appealing to you?
Okay, well, let me back up a little bit. So the second time that I competed, it was sort of towards the end of my corporate career. I was looking for meaning, and for me, fitness had always given me that, and my job wasn't at the time. I also, right before I competed for that second time, basically had gotten into the hospital for like a week because I had a brain virus. Wow. So it was meningitis. So basically that meant I had a virus in the lining of my brain, and
that's no joke.
Yeah, so the doctor told me if this virus had gone into your actual brain, encephalitis, you would have had a 70% chance of dying. And so at that moment, I was like, I had by this point kind of thrown myself into the corporate job and wasn't really thinking about fitness and taking it very seriously anymore. And it's like, fuck this, I'm gonna like turn my life around. I'm gonna get out of this job, I'm gonna get my personal training certification, I'm gonna compete. I don't know what the outcome will be, but I'm probably gonna win my pro card because I like to win at whatever the fuck I do. And I just like threw myself into that. So that was another scenario where I had something really hard happen to me, and competing was my way to get out of that and find my strength again. And that worked for me because I won my pro card at my first national show. Following that, I was hit with a hard reality of a pro card is literally just a piece of paper and means nothing. Also, competing totally fucks up your body image, and it takes a lot more than it gives. So that, combined with the fact that after the show I was still faced with the reality of a corporate job that made me miserable, was a hard wake-up call for me. And the job that I had was very, very high pressure, sales, government sales in this area. Was no joke. So it's like I had no energy or just mental headspace to think about how I would make my dreams happen. And I kind of knew it was going to be an all or nothing scenario in which like I either quit the job and like went full force into building a business, whatever that meant. I had no idea at the time. Or continue to live this life that my father wanted for me and most of the world wants for people.
I'm sure we could dive into a whole episode just on that. going down the path that you think you're supposed to, because for whatever reason, societal norms, familial norms, that's what you're, quote unquote supposed to do, versus not really fitting that niche and going out on your own. I kind of dabbled a little bit, sort of, kind of, not really. There was never a pressure on me, the military route. My whole family, the lineage, my father, my uncle, my grandfather, great-grandfather, all the way back to Civil War, we had every generation served in the military. And it was never like, hey, Chase, this is what we do, you better do this kind of thing. But at the same time, I kind of respected that, like, hey, this is a really cool legacy. It's a cool thing, I think it's a cool thing to honor your family in that way. And at the same time, I didn't really know what the hell I wanted to do. So I was like, well, it's not really fair to not do this, because I don't have a clear, distinct path that I want to do. So that's kind of what pushed me down the military, which then gave me my path now. So you were kind of faced with a hard duality of honoring this thing that I'm assuming had a lot of pressure on fulfilling, versus not really feeling it and wanting to go carve out your own thing. While at the same time kind of realizing that this thing you got your feet wet with wasn't all the glamour, glitz that it was all hyped up to be. So when you kind of realized that like, okay, I started down my own path and I thought this is where I could go, but you were still in your father's path, your family. So what was the catalyst? What was the thing that really solidified yes to this, no to that?
Before I go into that, literally my entire journey in the last year since this whole thing took off is me moving out of what I thought I should be and the path others dictate in this fitness world to what I really wanted. So it's...
Say that again. I want you to pay attention to this. This is going to be a timestamp takeaway nugget. All right, I'll include this in the intro.
My entire journey in this Fitspo fitness world since last January has been an evolution of me stepping out of what the fitness world and industry dictates is the best or the utmost way to make a career in this world, and stepping into what I truly feel lit up and excited about and know I feel called to do to help change people's lives, which turns out doesn't really have anything to do with fitness.
Yeah, and that's, we'll get into that for sure.
We will.
We're still in the fitness bubble right now.
Yeah, so the turning point for me was when I finally got some headspace, and I went on a trip for 2 weeks with my dad to China, and I just finally had the clarity that this was not the life that I was going to lead, and I was no longer going to be available for letting anybody tell me that their version of life is the one that I needed to lead. So I just stopped giving a fuck, and I was like, you know what, I know I'm quitting. And at that point, I moved home with my parents. I started saving up a lot of money. I knew a big bonus was coming to me at the end of the year. I didn't know when I was going to quit, but I knew that it would happen. And it actually happened when I was at a conference in Vegas for my company, and one day I just stopped showing up to meetings, and my boss called me and she was like, what's up? I'm like, I'm out. Like, I'm going home. I'm not going to do this anymore. And we were really close. Like, we still are close. So it was a really emotional breakup for me. It was like breaking up with a boyfriend.
Boss breakup.
But literally the week after, I think I started talking with Peter from EF Athletics. That same week I was in Vegas.
And that's where we first crossed paths at District Barbell.
And he knew I wanted to do the bodybuilding.com search, and he was like, I'll help you out. I'll help make your video. Let's film it here. And I was just like, I have nothing else to lose. Like, let's just fucking do this. And one thing that really drove me a lot was what a mentor of mine said to me before I quit, which was, Christie, you're a Viking. You sail your ships to the shore, you burn them, and then you attack, and you leave yourself no other option than to be successful. And I was like, you know what? I am a Viking. Like, I cannot just keep putting one foot in each world. I have to completely go for this dream, or it's never going to become a reality, because I had been waiting on it to happen for a year, and it wasn't happening. And so we made that video. I got into the top 20, and at that point, I was like, what can I do to show bodybuilding.com that this means more to me than anything in the whole world? And I have to say that my corporate life kind of helped me in this situation. One of the things I learned when I was in my corporate sales job was you need to do anything that you can to make your customer know that you are going to go above and beyond for them. So bodybuilding.com sent out an email saying that the athlete manager would be at Miami Nationals that same week. And so I was like, I'm going to buy a ticket. It was a $600 ticket. I think I paid $300 for my hotel. I went there. I had a 10-minute conversation with her, and I let her know, I'm here because of you, because I literally care that much.
You dropped $1,000 for about a 10-minute conversation just to show your tenacity.
Absolutely. And I was like,
wow.
I want you to know how much I want this.
Damn.
And she and I are still good friends to this day.
Good for you.
Because let's be real, there's like thousands of people that apply to this thing, and everyone thinks.
Yeah, how do you stand out? I mean,
everyone thinks because they're a freaking bikini competitor that they're going to be like the next spokesmodel. I'm like, no, it's showing how much you care about something, whatever it is, even if it's a search or not, that you'll go above and beyond. So that, I believe, is one of the reasons that helped me get to the next level. And then I did other things, like I made a video with Brian. We met for the first time when we made this video during Top 20. Just a goofy video of like us interviewing each other and getting to know each other.
I think that's such a cool dynamic that probably they hadn't seen before. I mean, what are the odds that you get two contestants for the same competition that are right down the road from each other?
Well, actually, one of the other male contestants, Ricky, he was from our area too. He's from Ashburn.
But
he had moved out of here and moved to San Diego to make
his dreams come true. Of the competition.
What's crazy is that he actually was in the corporate company I was at, and he left to go pursue his dream of fitness in San Diego. So he actually comes in the story later too. So I did the video with Brian. We got to know each other. We became really close friends and still are today because we went through that experience together. We both knew what it felt like to have a dream and want to make that, like, more than anything, our reality. And so when we got to top 10, both Brian and Ricky and I were in top 10. And I was like, okay, like, what can I do next to make sure that the people at bodybuilding.com know that I am like fucking here and I'm not going away.
I am Christie, hear me roar.
Basically, so bodybuilding.com has a charity called the Lift Life Foundation, and they reconstruct gyms in underprivileged high schools. So I was like, okay, cool. Like, I'm gonna have a fundraiser. For this charity.
Awesome.
So I coordinated with them. I was like, Brian, Ricky, you're coming with me. We're doing this thing. We're gonna have this charity. We're gonna bring all our friends and family together, our community, our fitness community, and a bunch of different companies from our area sponsored it. And we raised money. I think we raised like $600. It wasn't a ton, but it probably bought like a leg press machine or something.
$600 more than they had before.
And not only that, like, yes, it was an amazing thing. I felt really good about it. We raised money for a great cause. But I know that I did something that went above and beyond what normal people do. And that's the kind of person that can be successful in whatever they want. And so, what were you going to say?
The more and more I talk to people like you, and like your story is just like, I get a million spin-offs and like just questions. But like right there, I thought it was really unique that you got to dive all the way into something that you really, really wanted to do. And what are the odds that you have someone that you can go through that obstacle, that struggle with? So maybe talk to someone who's listening or is watching. What would you say to a person who wants to dive all the way in, who is a support system of one? And then from there, how can they find a companion? Because one of the biggest things that I believe in, that I coach people on, is that you can obtain a lot on your own. You can be good by yourself, but you cannot be great alone. You have to find a community. You have to find that external accountability and relationship. So what would you say to a person who wants to go all in by themselves, and then how would they not be by themselves? How would they find their Brian, basically? How would they find a companion to help them through this journey?
I created it.
Wow, okay.
I made my Find Your Fearless Facebook group because I felt really alone when I first started. Because it was really fucking scary to have this dream and not know anything. I didn't know what the steps were to building a business, a coaching business, a fitness coaching business. I didn't have anyone who had done it before me that was mentoring me. All I could do was look at other people in this fitness world who were doing it before me. But it's a lonely world. It's a hard world to break into because everybody's in their own little cliques and isn't really that interested in like nurturing you into the community.
It's very rare and hard to find someone who is mutually invested in your success as well as their own.
And the reality is you do have to give in order to get. And we were just talking about this before the podcast started. A lot of people want mentors and they're just like, hey, be my mentor. And I'm like, but what have you given?
And there's a whole other episode on the ease and the power and the
Yeah.
downfall of social media and being able to reach out and directly connect to someone who, you know, like Christy, like yourself, who maybe someone wants to go through that same competition, like, oh, well, I can just direct message her, I can just do this. And it's this expectation that I think...
That she will give.
Exactly.
And I do give because I, in my business, have experienced the value of giving so much content and free value in my heart. Like, I would say my heart is the biggest thing. Like, I am very genuine in what I give. That has manifested into money because when I put an offer out, people trust me. They know me, they like me, they respect me. They know that when they buy this, I'm not going to fuck them over.
Yeah.
I'm not going to sell them the idea that some influencer like 7x her income and therefore I will do the same. I'm like, fuck no. You need to sit there and plant your seeds and wait for them to cultivate and be patient as fuck. Do you know how long it took me since I started the fitness world? Almost 5 years.
Yeah. It's not overnight, people. It's not overnight. It's not even over a month.
Yeah. So regardless, I created this community because I needed that support. And it's incredible because in my community, and I'm live streaming to them right now, I look at that community and they are helping each other. They're answering each other's questions. They put their fears in there and they're super vulnerable. Like, we talk about the hard shit. Like, I cried on a live stream the other day in there, and it's my way to mentor people and provide community and support in a way that I never had because I know what a huge difference that can make in somebody's life when they're first starting out.
Wait, you mean you don't just show the highlight reel and all of the best angles and the best successes of your life?
Yesterday I was in my pajamas.
That's weird.
And
you're human? That's so weird.
Yeah. Some people, when I message them back, they're like, oh my god, you messaged me. I'm like, yeah, because I'm a human, and of course I'll message you back. I don't have this like perception that I'm like a fitfluencer or whatever the fuck that means. I'm just Christy.
That's good, and that's, you know, it's really important to, especially at any point where we realize or achieve any level of success, financial, Instagram, social media, you know, financially, whatever, it's always important to keep that part of you in check because the second you lose that, that's when people start disconnecting.
Yeah.
And that's, especially nowadays through avenues such as this, you know, looking at IG Live, Facebook Live, you know, we got so many different multimedia streams going on. It's so easy to lose that disconnect, but it's even more easy for them, for you all, to realize that we're not genuine, that you're not real. This is all
people
fake.
are smart, like they can tell. I've had a few of my own followers, and I call them mentees because that's what they really are, reach out and tell me about really horrible experiences they've had with other influencers who have asked them to invest a lot of money in a program without giving any sort of like value in return. So there's that value exchange again. I mean, it goes both ways.
Yeah.
I don't expect anybody to give me anything if I'm not giving value in return, and so that's what I do. And people, I think, when they're starting like a fitness career in this whatever industry, they're just wanting this magic bullet solution to super YouTube stardom, and they don't get that.
Give me the map. Give me the exact
There's
steps.
no map. There's no system. The only system is you following intuitively what feels really good to you, what would light you up to do. So this is an example of my year this year where I started out thinking I have to do YouTube. I have to do the full days of eating and all the bullshit, and YouTube fairy dust.
These are all the things we're supposed to do,
right?
Because
that's what I looked around, and that's what I saw. So I started doing it, and I'm like, why do I literally feel like nails on a chalkboard when I'm making YouTube videos? This isn't me, but I thought it had to be. And even Max was like, Christy, you gotta do YouTube. And I'm like, okay.
This is what the people want.
I'm like, okay, I gotta do YouTube. But I wasn't confident enough in myself at that time to understand that I was feeling that resistance for a reason, because that's not what my avenue is meant to be. And so then, for example, I thought, okay, the next thing after bodybuilding.com is to pursue my pro card because I won my pro card, so naturally I should compete.
That's what you're supposed to do, right? It's
right?
the next evolution in this process,
Yeah, that's what they say, that's a should. And so I started, and right when I started that prep, I got into an amazing relationship. He had no idea what competing was, and I knew where this was going. Like, if I continued to compete, I would become basically a skeleton that couldn't even be the other half in this relationship. And one day I was just like, you know what? I would really love to have a burger with my boyfriend. And I don't want to waste all my brain cells on something that won't bring me any value. Like, people compete because they want the fame and all that shit and the sponsorships.
Mm-hmm.
Newsflash, when you're 30, those sponsors go away and somebody younger comes around.
I'm 32 and I have a couple sponsors, so.
But you're not living off of them, are you?
No, by no means.
That's the thing. Like a lot of these girls that are in the Olympia and all this shit, they're like following this dream.
The female perspective is definitely very different. Yeah,
they're poor as shit. And the thing is, like, you don't have the mental capacity to build a business, like a serious, profitable business when you're competing. You give most of your brain away. And so I had to make that call. Do I want to establish a long-term career for myself and truly impact people? Or do I want to get up on the stage for the fame and the glory of it? And I want to have a burger with my fucking boyfriend. So I just dropped competing, and that was a process of letting go who I thought I should be in the fitness world and one step closer into who I wanted to be. Although I didn't know at that time who that was yet.
Yeah, which is, I think, a question just popped up is, what's it like knowing what you shouldn't be, what you don't want to be, without really 100% clarity around what it is you do want to be? Because it sounds like you were still kind of like, I know this isn't what I want to do. I know this is not my path. Maybe something loosely related to it, or an affiliate, no pun intended. But it sounded like you were still maybe not quite 100% solidified in Christie Bailey. This is who I am. This is what I do. So how did you shed the bullshit shell without really knowing what was inside? Truly.
Right. So I think everybody has the ability to listen to their intuitive cues, and that essentially means whenever you're making a decision, you know in your gut if it's a yes or if it's a no. You might have fear on top of that, but it's important to understand when it's a fear no and a fear yes. So for me, when I left competing, I was afraid that people weren't going to follow me anymore, that I couldn't build a business, all these things, all this bullshit fear that we all have.
The social tag along, that was losing that was a big determining factor for you?
It was a fear. It wasn't a determining factor.
I guess it's fair to say it would have been a fair expectation, because that's just the world, that's how this revolves. If you're not doing X, Y, Z, you're going to lose some followers, you're going to lose people who aren't really in it for your personal benefit.
And I did. And that was okay. So I just knew intuitively this is not my thing. And I knew intuitively that just because I was good at fitness didn't mean I was good at online business. And you guys have to keep in mind that I quit my corporate job. So literally, when like the bodybuilding.com wave hit, I was still trying to figure out how to make money online. Because I thought, all the clients will just come to me because I'm with bodybuilding.com.
All of my followers immediately equates to money, right?
All of them.
100%, yeah.
And I was hit with a hard dose of reality that just because you have followers does not mean that you're going to make money. And that's what almost everyone thinks, especially when they come into my group. They think, I need more followers. How do I increase my social media reach and my brand and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, don't do that. Like, don't care about the followers. You can still make a really good income off of a smaller number of followers. I didn't know this, but to go back to the story, I did know at that time that I needed to learn about online business, and I needed to learn it from somebody that wasn't in this really small microcosm of the fitness industry, because everybody's doing the same shit.
Yeah.
Everyone.
Yeah, so how did you do that?
I Googled. I had some desperate Google searches, like how
business
the fuck
coaches near me.
How do you start an online business? It was very overwhelming, like frantic Googling. And I came across a woman who was just no bullshit. And she was like, here's what I can teach you, and here's what I can't. And if you need this, go to someone else. And I was like, that's refreshing. So I kept following her. I signed up for a course that she was doing on how to run courses. I was like, oh, no one in the fitness world is running courses. Sweet. Although now they might, since they're listening to this.
We'll copyright all this exclusive content.
Take it. I don't care. And so from her, I didn't just learn about courses. I learned about all the fundamentals of how to run an online coaching service-based business. The process, the operations,
yeah, absolutely.
And that's when I realized, oh shit, I'm not alone. Like there are so many other people out there who are in this position of starting an online service business, and they're just as confused and scared as I am. And that means that I'm normal and I'm okay.
Yeah.
And that was so comforting to me. And then I made it my mission to learn everything I could about online business to become successful, and AKA to pay my fucking bills.
Yeah.
Because that was kind of
people
important.
Forget about that part. You know, it's so awesome. Yeah, I love. You know, I'm gonna support you. You go, girl. You guy. Whatever. You know.
Most of those
pursue
people,
your life,
those influencers, they're broke.
Yeah. It's
almost
unfortunate. Yeah. It really is, and it's hard to really because I think you hit the nail on the head of realizing that, oh, I can just go down this path because, you know, maybe I work out well, I got a good body, I can get a sponsor, and then, you know, then I can just push down that same line as everybody else. But, you know, why am I a unique butterfly? You know, why am I special? And a lot of people make the mistake of not trying to realize that early on so they can develop this side hustle. They can grow themselves to actually become more educated, to have a backup plan, to, you know, dabble in multiple different worlds. You know, in a sense, it's all kind of the same world. I think, you know, competing yourself, fitness, coaching, it's like all the same, but different in the same way. So you kind of got out of the limelight, got out of the competition. You found someone to help pull you in the direction that you wanted to go, which I think, like we were talking about earlier, I think is a very timely area to discuss on what it is about coaching, what is it about seeking someone else out to provide that external accountability, to be a coach for the coach. You know, why did you give your money to someone who did not give you a tangible thing? Why did you pay for a service like this?
Because I was too fucking scared to do it myself. You can find anything you need to know online, but it's overwhelming. It makes you anxious as fuck, and you're afraid. I had so many fears, and I had absolutely no idea how to push past them. The answer is action, but oftentimes you can't do that alone because of the way our brains work. And that's why coaching is so valuable in whatever industry it is. I'll give you this example.
In whatever industry it is. Exactly. Coaching is not just someone that helps get you stage ready, not someone to meet you in the gym. Coaching is a myriad of approaches.
But for the person who has a very one-track mind, they might say, oh, well, anyone can just put a quote from Google onto their
Find a motivational podcast or tell someone, you know, hey, good job.
But, you know, something that will resonate with these very simple-minded individuals is I just hired a coach. I spent $5,000 for a one-day session with her. I'm in another mastermind of hers as well. But she has pushed me in the last few weeks to take all of the scary action. I literally made a fear to-do list for myself.
Wow. I like that.
Of all the things that were a fear, yes.
Yeah.
And also, she forced me to look intuitively at the things that I wanted to do that I wasn't doing. So, for example, I kept saying, one day I want to open up my community to more than just fitness coaches because I'm a business coach. Initially, I set out to do it for just fitness coaches, but I knew in my heart it was something I wanted to do. And so she was like, why the fuck not now? And I was like, I don't know, why the fuck not now?
So, that's a good question, yeah.
So, I mean, my group name used to be Fearless Entrepreneurs, and now it's Find Your Fearless, because I wanted to make it accessible for everyone, and I wanted to bring in the personal development aspect that I love. I'm very big on motivation and inspiration, and also being really fucking real and saying, go take the action. So that's also what she did for me is she didn't even hold me accountable. She was just like, whether you do or don't is irrelevant to me, but just know that when you do each of these things that your fear is holding you back on, that you know you should do, you're just sitting, not earning money, not doing anything, not reaching people. And I was like, oh shit.
Limiting beliefs.
Yeah.
These lies and these stories we tell ourselves as to why to take action or why not. Usually more important, why not.
Yeah. And understanding the why not is really good. Like, if your why not is a fear and an excuse, it means you need to take it. And so that's an example of, okay, so I was going to wait to put out a course that I'm running right now. It's actually a mastermind where I'm leading people through the exact business building process that I wish I would have went on when I first started, except I was jumping all over the place because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I had no mentor. In addition to the getting over your fear shit, in addition to all that mindset stuff that no one takes into account when they're building their business. They don't get that the only thing between you and success is what's up here. And
yes. I'm with you.
So I created it, and that was like a baby in my mind. I was like, okay, I'm gonna put it out. I'm gonna like wait till December. I'm gonna plan all of November. So I'm just gonna take a break from like promoting and getting income. She's like, why the hell would you do that? I was like, I don't know. So literally,
sounds like a good coach.
In 2 days, I was like, okay, let me write this out, and then I'm just gonna launch it to my Instagram, my private group, my Find Your Fearless group, and someone bought it in like the first hour. I didn't have a sales call. I didn't like have to push. I wasn't sleazy, salesy, slimy. Like,
You weren't selling. You technically weren't selling the program.
But I had done the selling months before, and that's what people don't get. I spent months providing free value that was genuine and authentic and from my heart, and that's why somebody bought without even talking to me, because they trusted me enough, because they know that I'll show up to help them get to where they want to go, and they like me. Like, they consider me a friend. Like,
you have to connect first. You have to like them. You have to be able to trust them, and only then are you going to be at a point to where you're going to open up about, okay, this is where I need help in my goals. This is where I need help in my fitness, my business, my anything, and also to pay for that. Because no one is going to half-ass pay for advice or insight or accountability when they themselves don't wholeheartedly believe that this is what I want to do. You find the value in, okay, I need this external push. I need this insight. I need this resources reference.
And that's also why I priced this mastermind the way I did. So the price is right now $3,500 for the program.
It's very open of you to share that.
I don't care. I really don't care. And that's another fear my coach helped me through. She's like, why the hell would you not talk about money? People want to know that. My fear, this is an overachiever fear, was, well, people are making more than me, so like I can't talk about it. And she was like, people need to know what you're making so that they can know it's possible for them. I
like that. Yeah.
And the other thing that I want to say about talking about the investment and that amount of investment is the people who don't actually give a fuck about their dreams, who are not going to show up, who are half-assing it and don't really have what it takes to make it happen, they're not going to pay that.
Yeah.
And I don't want those people in my mastermind, because that's why it's a mastermind. Because people who want to level up and help other people level up and get to the next level in their lives and their business, those are the people that are going to show up. So I'm not concerned about who does or doesn't buy. I'm
going to quote one of my mentors, Mr. Ron Swanson. He says, never half-ass two things, whole-ass one thing. That's for all my Parks and Recreation fans out there. Ron Swanson, R.I.P. But, and I want to backtrack just a little bit, and something you were talking about in the middle there, transitioning from going from fitness persona yourself to a fitness coach, corporate job, getting out of corporate job, now business coach, fitness business oriented coaching, majority.
Well, I moved out of that too.
Yeah, so she's on a roll in every direction. Play a little bit of a devil's advocate, because I think this is a question that is being asked of a lot of people, of myself, of you right now, is that what makes you capable of coaching someone in a business? Why are you a valid business coach? What business have you started? How can you ethically, morally, whatever, tell someone how to do something or provide that accountability or coaching process and charge them?
It's so funny because somebody actually DM'd this to me the other day, and at first I was super offended. I was like, what the hell? You don't think I'm good enough? And then I was like, wait, let me think about that. Why am I good enough?
Yeah.
And it's something I tell my mentees. Like, I'm not here to tell you that I'm like a CEO of fucking Facebook, but I am here to tell you that I went on the journey that you just went on. I know every single struggle and mistake that you need to avoid, and I know how to make money. And I can help you get there in a way that feels really good to you, because that was the path that I took. And any coach, when they're first starting out, like, that's their biggest fear, is they just, they want to know that they can get people to a certain transformation and that maybe they're not good enough to take them there. And I like to think of coaching in terms of the alphabet. So think of like the journey that somebody's taking is from A to Z. You're not there to take somebody from obese to like Mr. Olympia. You're there to take them from obese to maybe losing 50 pounds, which is for like A to C. Right?
Can you write this down? I'm going to use this in some of my material. I'm going to co-sign the hell out of this.
And that's something I learned from
I've never heard this analogy.
Yeah, my first business mentor told me this, and I was talking about that earlier. She said, I'm not here to teach you fucking sales funnels. I'm here to teach you how to find your niche, how to find your ideal client, how to create your services, and to put a course out there. And I was like, great, thank you for being honest. That's the part of my journey you can lead me on. And she was like, perfect, now go find someone else for the other shit when you're ready. And so that's what I do. I take people on the journey that I was just on. I teach them in the best way I know how. And that means avoiding every single mistake that I made. I know what to do instead. That means helping them through every fear that I had. I know how to get over that. That does mean helping them with strategies, but the difference when I teach strategy is I'm never going to tell you to do something you don't want to do. Here's a great example. There is a school of thought, I would say, in the business coaching fitness world that you should be pushy when you do a sales call. You should force people to pay on the phone.
Natural, I would say old school, traditional sales tactic. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm no stranger to this because I was doing corporate sales. However, if that feels really horrible to you and you feel icky and you're like, I feel like a robot, this is not working, like the person on the phone is going to know. And if you feel shitty about yourself inside when you are running your business that's supposed to make you so lit up and so excited, why the hell do you think that would work for you?
Yeah, how can you show up and try to be there for your clients and, you know, progress and be successul when you feel like a piece of shit?
Yeah.
I mean, so I'm sure some people can pull it off, you know, maybe they have
because it's right for them.
A shred of a conscience, but for the most, I mean, for me, for you, no.
Yeah. So I teach that you need to find, and I help you find, the strategies that feel really good to you. Another lesson I learned, and a hard lesson, is if you don't want to do it, you won't actually be successful at it. So at the end of my fitness coaching time, I basically felt like I was dragging my feet and this was not awesome and I wasn't enjoying it, but I thought I had to do it. And so I just realized if this doesn't feel good to me, there's a reason.
Yeah.
And that was in the next transition. When I finally was like, all right, I'm never going to be 100,000% ready. I can't wait till I'm the CEO of Facebook to finally decide I'm ready to do business coaching. Yeah. I know, and I'm already helping people. Like I talk to people all the time about this, so I'm just going to start now. And I didn't start offering services right away. I built my community and I built the value out first before asking.
Because you still had to learn your way through this. You know, this was a new journey for you. So, I mean, you did yourself justice and not jumping ship and trying to start a whole other process because you were still getting your feet wet with it. You had to learn, okay, this is who I am now. This is what I'm offering. This is what I want to offer. These are the type of people that are out there that I can engage with. Yeah.
So it was like a second business, essentially. And Gary Vaynerchuk talks a lot about, you know, providing value. He has a book about it called Jab, Jab, Right Hook.
Yeah.
A book I love is called The Slight Edge by Jeff Olson. He talks about the power of compounding and all the little steps, the little seeds you're planting, waiting for the cultivation of those seeds, and then you harvest. Yeah. And that's what people here are missing in the fitness industry is they want it tomorrow and they want to be fucking superstar YouTube person, and you're just not going to be tomorrow. Sorry.
No. And something you said that I think I would love to revisit is paying attention to those personal cues. A lot of times it's so easy this day and age to listen to something motivating or to just kind of see someone doing something that is like, wow, that's really inspiring. That's, you know, what I want to do, or I maybe even think that I want to get involved with. And it's paying attention to those cues, knowing the difference of when you're conscious, when your journey, your destiny, whatever you want to call it, is staring you in the face versus when it's just there's a slight rift where you should be paying attention. And it doesn't mean every time you feel that you need to jump ship. It doesn't mean you have to quit your job and get a new job and then quit your job and just, you know, bounce around. But, you know, there is value in paying attention to these cues and paying attention to your body. I think it's such, to quote a quote I made on a recent episode of another quote of the Mind Pump guys, one of the three guys, Sal, I heard him talk about how your body is 100% always going to be your best coach. And that's whether you're trying to reach a new PR in the gym, trying to ask for a raise, you know, muster up the courage to ask someone else out. I mean, your body is such an innate ability to tell you, hey, this is what you need to be doing, or maybe, nah, quit bullshitting, you know?
Yeah. What was the question?
I was just going on a rant.
Okay.
I think I was just highlighting, you know, those cues there. So it sounded like you had the awareness, and, you know, I bring this up all the time, you know, awareness is step number one in any change you want to make, or even realizing the changes you need to make that you didn't know. So listen to your body, listen to your mind, and before you jump ship, you know, build that community, build that process, build anything to just show you that you can jump ship and not be in sinking water, but you actually have something to grab hold of and sail into somewhere else.
That was beautiful.
I was in the Army, I was in the Navy. I don't know why I'm making all these water references, but
I mean, I think just that alone of following my intuition and also unfiltering myself. I curse a lot and I don't care because that's how I talk in normal life. When I first started, one of my best friends was like, Christy, you need to curse. I'm like, what? Because I was doing these YouTube videos and I was like, oops, sorry for cursing. And she was like, that's who you are. And it's taken me like a year to finally be able to come out and write whatever the hell is on my mind, to talk about how much money I'm making, to talk about what I'm charging, and to just let it out in the most authentic, like vulnerable way. I write.
Because that's natural for you.
It's natural, and so I write my content from always a really inspired place. I don't know when I'm going to write it. I just know that whenever I have an idea during the day, I sit down immediately on a computer, I write out the post. And that's when it comes to me. And from my mentor that I just hired, she has helped me to unfilter myself even more. I thought I was unfiltered before. I wasn't.
Isn't it amazing what a coach can do to call you out on your own shit?
Totally. And she's not teaching me strategy right now, but she is giving me the mental shifts that I need, helping me make those that are making me a lot of money. And so for the simple-minded people who think that coaching is just a fucking copy and paste quote, I'll take the money and you can stay where you are.
Yeah, and I'd be willing to bet that those people have never once worked with a coach or even attempted to, have that objective perspective, which is, I think, in any conversation, anything you're having an opinion about, how can you if you've never been in those shoes?
And the other thing about hiring a coach is the investment. And I don't think we talked about this yet. I talked about how the price of my mastermind is on purpose. That's to deter and filter people who aren't right for it.
Working with the right client,
But for yourself as a coach, it's really important to charge the amount that makes you show up as your fullest, most excited self that can lead the person on the transformation. If you're charging $150 a month, you're going to be miserable. You're going to resent your clients. You're not going to want to do the work, and neither you or the client are going to get what you want out of it. The client is not going to transform, partly because you're not fully there, because you're not charging what you need to, because you think that XYZ influencer is charging $150 a month, so you need to. But what else was I going to say? I was going to rant. Also because when you invest in something and it's a lot of money for the first time, it's like, oh shit, I have to show up now. And the feeling shifts inside you when you make that investment, because it's all in. And the fears that come up when you make a huge investment are, what if it doesn't work out? What if I'm not good enough? My hair looks weird right now.
Same, am I good? Okay. Real quick, hair makeup
what if
check.
it doesn't work out? What if this isn't the right strategy? What if an emergency comes up? And so that's the fear. People, when you ask for the investment, I'm not talking the perspective of the coach, they're afraid that someone won't be able to afford it. People can always find a way. It's never really about money. I mean, unless you're in $1,000 of debt or $100,000 debt, maybe,
Everybody's situation is different, absolutely.
But for the most part, people can find the money. It's just that they're not ready to show up for themselves, and they're not ready to get over their fears. And so I would say 50-50. 50% of the time, you can help people mentally see how to make that financial investment, help them. I view it as my best friend. She came to me and she said, Christy, I want to have this program. I know it will change my life, but I feel like I just can't afford it. I would sit there and I'd help her think about, okay, what can you cut out from the rest of your life so that you can reallocate the money, or can you put it on a credit card? Can you get another job? That's what I help people think about. I treat every sales conversation as if they were my best friend, because that's how I feel about them. The other 50% of the time, they're just not ready, and it's okay. Most of the time, they'll come back.
And you said the right word. You said investment, and this is something that I say all the time. You're not buying a water bottle. You're not buying a T-shirt. You're not buying a car. You're not buying anything you can physically touch. Exactly. You're buying this service. You're investing. This is not a purchase. This is not just an exchange of money. It's an investment. And I say investment because investments, when done properly, accrue interest over time. They appreciate in value. So my coach, I'm about to spend...
You're going to save the money? Just put it out there?
Over $600 this month. And that's just because that's just heightened kind of extra accountability right now. That's not even outside of the norm. So this is a special occasion. So, but I know, and it was no sales pitch. There was no, hey Chase, hey, I'm throwing a special this way, or I can give you XYZ results. It was, this is what I'm hearing you say. These are the struggles that you're facing, and I'm showing up knowing that I see the value. I see the payoff. I know that this $600 to $1,000 that I'm going to be spending this month alone is going to come back to me tenfold. May not be next week, may not be next month, but it is the person, it is the accountability, it is the insight I need to get out of my own limiting beliefs, my own fear that, you know, I'm undervalued, that I'm not good enough, that I'm gonna fail. And it's having that objective perspective that just makes it all worthwhile. That's the investment.
And the investment, the act of investing. And we were just talking about this earlier, people who want shit for free. Like, hey, can you mentor me? Can you mentor me?
Can you give me a 12-week workout program?
Somebody the other day asked me to promote their 90-day challenge for $100 for 6 weeks on my page. And I said, look, like, I'm promoting my own stuff right now. Like, I'm sure what you have is great, but I don't really know you. What I'd be happy to do is give you some advice.
Yeah, sure.
Tips.
Yeah, thanks for reaching out. Here's what I can offer at this point in time. Here's what, you know, my time is worth, and here's where maybe we can maybe meet in the middle somewhere.
Do you want to guess what she did?
She's either gonna yell at you or completely ghost you.
She said, oh, great. And then when I showed up to give her the tips, didn't respond.
Yeah.
Didn't respond. And that's a perfect example of somebody who isn't going very far in life because they do not see the value. She doesn't even see that she needs help. She's expecting things for free. And so when you expect things for free, your clients are going to expect things for free. So you're going to have people showing up to your challenge, ma'am, that want it for free. And that's another point I want to make is who you are as a coach, who you are as a person is normally what you manifest in your life. So if you're a cheap person and you're not willing to spend $2,000 on a coach, $3,000, $3,500, why the hell do you think someone else would want to spend that on you? Because your energy, your vibe, and just the words you say reflect how you feel about yourself. That's who you attract.
Yeah.
And so if you want people to start paying you for your services, you sure as hell better pay your mentor for their services and not expect anything for free.
Yeah, and I would even challenge anyone who's working or thinking of working with a coach, a trainer, I mean, whatever coach means to you, you know, this external accountability and insight and resources, if they themselves are not also working with a trainer, if they're not working with a coach, or at least have not done so in that foundational period, I would second guess working with them. I mean, because that's when you're only going to get that one person's agenda, their one insight. And, you know, sure, maybe there are a few in the world where they're just geniuses or they just see clarity in, you know, your goal setting or whatever you need. But I find that hard to believe.
I don't think there's anyone out there that is truly successful, that doesn't continually level up their mind in some way. Normally it's through some sort of mentorship.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and wow, man, we've been talking for a while. This is awesome. I want to dive into the final question, and then from there, maybe let's head into the Q&A.
Sure.
Okay. So, you know, my story, the branding behind EverForward, you know, it's this platform, you know, was kind of an earlier point you made of you couldn't find what you were looking for, so you created it.
Yeah.
And this is exactly what I did with EverForward. This was a platform that I created to be the platform that I was piecing together on my own, that I was really looking for, to bring on like-minded people and to share my story of how I have gone through some shit in my life and how I lived in fear and how I let all these obstacles stay obstacles instead of turning them into my way, so that I could live a life ever forward. How does Christie Bailey help others live a life ever forward?
I help people see the vision of what their life could be. I want them to know what it felt like for me, like lying in my hospital bed when I was sick and I had my near-death experience. I saw two visions for my life. I could either continue my life the way it was, doing what people wanted me to do, in fear of judgment, in fear of doing things that were outside the norm, or I could take what Tim Ferriss taught me in the 4-hour work week, and I could design a life for myself that was beyond anything I could have ever imagined. I could be home with my babies when I have them, raise them, and then go work on my laptop a few hours a day. I could go to the beach in Bali and work from the beach, which I did last month.
She just got back,
for an entire month. That was my dream. I get to design my life every single day. So what I'm here to do is not really about business strategy. It's how can I help people live the most amazing, inspired lives they can, so that they don't wake up when they're 65 and think, oh fuck, where did my life go?
Because that will happen. You will blink and it will be a year, 5 years, 10 years down the road. Absolutely.
So that would be it.
Awesome. Christie, thank you so much for being on the podcast today. And should we give a little hint about maybe an upcoming new podcast that you listen to?
Yeah. So
dun, dun, dun.
Chase inspired me, and my business mentor inspired me. Find Your Fearless podcast.
Coming soon?
It's going to be a podcast that's a mix of business strategy and inspiration.
Nice.
All about getting the fuck over yourself and your